welcome to the Generation Y Conservative Podcast. I'm glad that you could join us tonight. Last night was an S show, to put it lightly, okay? We went through the debate between President Trump and Vice President Joe Biden. And if you happen to catch my pre-debate show on what was to be expected, what the candidates should be doing to try and beat each other, it was a no-holds-bar, all-out fight, and somehow they didn't cross the stage to actually wallop each other in this instance. But it was an interesting situation, and some of the topics that were brought up, I felt, are very pertinent to what's going on with the interview that I'm actually holding today. Some of the issues that were brought up were in regards to how the past administration handled the military and veterans, and how President Trump currently is handling the military and veterans. And I'm so excited to have someone with me tonight to discuss these issues and actually dive into politics. So if you've actually seen any of his other interviews on YouTube, or if you search for him in the near future and you're looking for things, you may not run into this and run into his political views, but he's actually willing to share those with me tonight. So I'm extremely excited to have him on tonight. He is a veteran. He is a current MMA fighter. Shane Kruchten, thank you for joining me on the Generation Y Conservative Podcast. Thanks for being here tonight.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Shane, before we get started into maybe the political realm, why don't you give me your just give me your story, especially in regards to, let's go back to, I don't know, let's say high school. What got you into the military? What was your set-off point that kind of drew you there?
Actually, you have to rewind a lot further than high school.
Go for it.
You got to rewind all the way back to the Gulf War. I remember I was old enough to cognitively remember the Gulf War on TV with all the green tracers shooting through the sky. And, you know, I knew at that moment, I was like, yo, I want to be, you know, in the military or military. My family comes from a deep lineage of military. I come from, you know, deep rooted military in the Midwest. And, you know, you country before self. 100% of the time, people will, you know, sacrifice everything. You know, it's still good, homegrown America. Well, I knew that. And I remember the victory parades coming down Main Street in Amro, Wisconsin. And they were coming down Main Street. And I remember looking at this guy on his tank, and I was like, yo, that's going to be me. That is going to be me. My mom's like, shh, quiet, you know, just calm down. I ended up joining JROTC. I was totally gung-ho. I was all military. Got into high school. I did pretty well. I fared very well with wrestling, had a scholarship offer for college wrestling. And junior year of high school, you know, it was during wrestling season. September 11th happened. You know, I remember it very vividly. I walked into world history class, second period in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I walked in, and there it is on the TV, man. You know, those old TVs on the cart, and I'm watching the World Trade Center burn. I remember very vividly the original World Trade Center actually being hit, you know, and bombed in the basement. And I was like, oh, I remember that building. And, you know, that's when the second plane hit. I was still in world history class. At that moment, I knew that, you know, the country I love, the country I grew up in, the country my children's children and children's are going to grow up in, needed to be protected. I ran down to the guidance counselor. You know, kind of the world was going in chaos at that moment. And I said, hey, what do I got to do to graduate this year? And he looks at me, Mr. Resop was his name. And he said, what are you talking about? And I go, I'm graduating, man. I'm going to the military. It's time for war. And I had no idea what I was doing. 16, you know, young, dumb, and, you know, just not all there. And he goes, you got a scholarship, man. You know, think about it. Let's talk about it. I said, no, you're telling me right now what I'm doing to get out of high school because I'm joining the military. Now, mind you, I had never even talked to a recruiter at this moment. You know, I was supposed to go to college and everything. So I went down. He told me exact classes I had to do. I was only like 5 or 6 classes, but I had to forego my senior year. I had to forego my college scholarship. I had to give up a lot of stuff, you know, and it was okay with me. I ended up going to my wrestling coach and quitting wrestling that day. I quit wrestling. I quit everything. And I said, hey, I'm only lifting weights and I'm getting in the military. And, you know, we went outside. There was a few guys in my class, and the underclassmen that went outside and we lowered the flag to half mast, we all got suspended. They threatened to suspend us for lowering the flag to half mast after the towers fell. Absolute joke, right? And that fueled me even further. And I remember going down and talking to the recruiter. Recruiter said, "Hey, you got to be 17." So I graduated high school when I was 16. 2 days later, I turned 17. 3 days after that, I left for boot camp. Boom, the rest is history. You know, I served my country very proud in the military. You know, I was a Purple Heart recipient, combat veteran at 17 years old. As far as I've been informed, I'm the second youngest Purple Heart recipient of the Iraq War. And then I had my 18th birthday more than 2.5 months later, had my 18th birthday in downtown Baghdad.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I have a quick question, actually, just kind of backtracking just a little bit, because you don't get these stories very often when you're on the East Coast like myself. Now, I was actually in my freshman year of college when the World Trade Center was hit. And I was down in Philadelphia, and these things were happening in New York, right to the north of me. You had the plane hit the Pentagon to the south of me. And then out in Western PA to the west of me is Flight 93. And it was, for me, it was kind of insane. All this stuff was happening all around me. What was it like for someone like you out in the middle of the country? Was there a similar type feeling? Because all the planes were grounded immediately once things really started hitting the fan. What was it like being out in the middle of the country? Was there a sense, because of the chaos, that there could be something happening near you too at that point in time? Was there any type of that chaos as well?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you know, 97% of the military's vehicles are all manufactured in Oshkosh. Oshkosh Truck manufactures all the military vehicles. You know, we're talking everything from the PLSs to just you name it, even the MRAPs that later came out further on. So, you know, my whole town was, you know, they freaked out. They instantly got scared. Holy crap, we're going to get bombed, you know, And, you know, all heck's going to break loose. And, you know, people got scared, man. And I remember there was this, right by my high school, there's a Shell gas station. And the Shell gas station had a 4.5 hour line waiting for gasoline. People got in trouble in Wisconsin, so they started price gouging. Gas went from $2 or $1.30 or $1.40 a gallon. It shot up. They put it at $7 a gallon, and people were paying it. Man, they were filling their tanks. Yeah. I remember I had a 1973 F100 pickup truck, and I had $20 left, and I ran to the gas station, a different part of the county that I knew was rural, and there wasn't gonna be nobody out there other than farming people. And I rolled in and put $20, and I was like, I don't know if I have enough gas. You know, it was chaos, man. And you know, the fear was real. Yeah. A lot of my friends, a lot of my family all worked at Oshkosh Truck. You know, and Oshkosh Truck immediately closed doors. They immediately evacuated the buildings. We have one of the largest air shows, EAA, or Experimental Aircraft Association, in Oshkosh. And, you know, they grounded that airport quicker than all get out. The National Guardsmen went on high alert. It was kind of nuts, you know, being from such a small town, but such a small town that has such an important role in the military. So, yeah, I mean, we felt it. It was pretty immediate. And they, you know, just, yeah, people got scared.
It's always fascinating to me to hear people's, you have your war stories and everything too, but it's just to hear what people around the country and for that matter around the world were feeling that day, just seeing what was happening on the TV. So let's, obviously you served your time in the military. Your story really highlights in all the interviews that you've done what happens after you got out of the military. So why don't you bring me through that story and how you've handled that and kind of pursued this helping veterans with their issues. So go ahead and with that.
Yeah, so I was medically released and retired out of the Marine Corps in 2005 under the Bush administration. I didn't really seek help, man. I thought, you know, I got this. I'm a, you know, strong-willed, strong-minded individual. when Obama got into office, you know, he was promising, like, it was kind of like that dangling the carrot, right? Oh, come back to the VA. Everything's great. They were calling me, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. You know, I went back to the VA, man, and it drove me to suicide. Like I just plain and simple, man. They overdrugged me. They drugged the crap out of me. You know, unfortunately, under the Biden Obama era, you know, I don't know if you know this, but executive orders were signed by Biden Obama, and they took faith-based treatment out of the VA and out of the DoD, and they signed this like relatively within months of getting into office. You know, the veteran suicides under the Bush administration, Clinton administration, Bush administration, Bush senior administration was 16 a day. When Biden Obama signed this executive order taking faith-based treatment out of the VA and the DoD, veteran suicides within 3 years shot to 22 a day. So if you know of today's, you know, realm, and you always hear of, you know, 22 veterans a day, like, let's do 22 push-ups.
Right. Yeah.
First of all, I think, my personal belief, I think that's absolutely dumb. People need to stop doing push-ups, pick up the phone and call your battle buddy, call a military veteran. A push-up ain't saving a damn life. A phone call, an email, a hit them up, that's going to save the life. And I'm a firm believer in that. You know what I mean? Dakota Meyer, Medal of Honor recipient, Marine Corps veteran, always says, own your dash. You're guaranteed life and you're guaranteed death, right? But there's that dash in between. You have to own that. And I live that every day. So, you know, going from the suicide and kind of navigating my water to, you know, like you asked about giving back to veterans, man, you know, after my attempted suicide, I realized that I need to do something. The DEA agent that found me dead, literally in my own feces, my own vomit, said and looked at me and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I went, "Whoa, what do you mean?" And he's like, "You are letting your brothers down." That was the most prolific, like, slap in the face, if you can get one. And I said, you know, he's got a point. And, you know, a couple days later, I called my buddy. I got a tattoo down my back of all 19 guys I served with that were killed in action, their names, their ranks, the date they were KIA. And, you know, I instantly knew that from that day forward, I wasn't taking my eyes off the prize. The prize is saving every veteran I possibly can save, or inspiring everyone I can possibly inspire. I still do that to this day. I give back as much as I can. I've donated my purses from fights to wounded veterans. I give free privates to wounded veterans. And now I've expanded, and I give privates and training lessons to veterans, to law enforcement officers. And I feel as though I was put on this earth for a reason. And, you know, I was able to, you know, there's a reason I gave up my college scholarship to go to the military. There's a reason why I was hurt. Everything is categorically in place. I don't know why, but I just follow that step, you know, and I believe God puts this in front of me to know my path. And, you know, I was lucky enough throughout this journey to, you know, now I've had you know, unfortunately a failed political campaign. I've had a congressional run, but now I've worked for congressmen. I've spoken in DC. I've been able to speak and be able to be an inspiration to these veterans and people worldwide. So, like, you know, it's crazy when one bad, you know, apple can ruin the bunch. Some people just sit there and eat the bad apples the rest of their life. I still can't stop climbing to the top of that mountain and trying to find the promised land. And, you know, I haven't found the top yet. My wife says sometimes I spread myself way too thin. But God bless her. And she is a beautiful soul, because without her, man, and wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's a woman that without her, I wouldn't be able to give back the way I do, nor be able to speak to people like you and hopefully talk to somebody and they hear my story and get inspired.
Awesome. So are you still currently involved in the Wounded Warrior Project, or was that something that was temporary that I saw in the interview for that point in time? What's your involvement with that now?
Yeah. So I'm still friends with a lot of the Wounded Warrior Project staff. I was on the national campaign team. I think I still am. I still get their emails. But, you know, unfortunately, they've really downsized since the BS scandal came out. Wounded Warrior Project did a lot of really good stuff for me and for millions of veterans. Unfortunately, you know, some BS came out from a you know, super leftist website, and unfortunately, it crippled the organization, money laundering and all this stuff. A third-party investigation proved them all innocent, and so I don't get it.
I remember
You know,
that.
yeah, and it's really sad because I know the people that literally were used as the fall man for that article, and unfortunately, it crushed them. You know, and all they've done and all they ever did was give, 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 and they didn't live vicariously, like, you know, any beyond their means with donors' money. It's all a sham. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to give back. I would love to give back more in that realm. I do a lot of stuff with Team Semper Fi, the Doc Jacobs Foundation, Alliance Eastlake Foundation. So, you know, I give back to whoever has the availability or the need for me. Unfortunately, right now, the Wounded Warrior Project doesn't really, they're not doing much due to COVID-19, due to the restrictions in California.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of doing remotely. And as you can see on my social media, I've been doing a lot in DC and Michigan and all these other different states. Not really too much here with Dictator Newsom, because, you know, he's got his thumb on everything and wants to own the world.
Well, just between you and me, I know the project that you just currently worked on, and all I'll say about that is I can't wait to see the finished product on it, because I know it's going to be awesome. Yeah. You brought up a couple things I actually really wanted to talk to you about. I forgot about about you living in California. I do want to ask you about that in a second, but one of the interesting thing is, my question about the Wounded Warrior Project actually was leading me towards something you just answered for me, which is, when you're talking about helping out veterans and trying to lead in the right direction to help veterans as a citizen, the organizations to look for, you rattled off a few there, but also prior to that, you were talking about pick up the phone, call your buddy and everything. And one of the issues I see with that is, a lot of times veterans don't want to talk to people who aren't veterans, who aren't serving, because here's a good comparison. I think it's a good comparison. Maybe I'm full of crap. I don't know. I had cancer. If someone comes up to me and says to me, I understand what you went through, and they never had cancer, I'm like, thank you for your concern. You know what I mean? Yeah, you have no idea what I went through with it, but thank you for showing your concern. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I can only imagine that that's probably along the same lines of how veterans feel when citizens are like, I'm here for you. I know what you're feeling. Am I right in that? And if so, how can you reach out to veterans that you know, if you haven't served in the military, and try to help them back on a path to recovery of any kind that you may have gone through, or that other veterans struggle with?
You know, and with great point, great topic. You know, I've dealt with this for years. In the beginning, I was like, you know, boop, you know, gave him a number one and told him, you know, don't talk to me. Don't even, you know, don't bring it up to me. You don't know anything. You've never been there. You've never smelt what I've smelt. You've never, you know, honestly, man, you know, some of the best things that I got is you know, I got a lot of Marines that constantly hit me up. Like, they see a weird post or some weird wording. You know, a lot of people, man, they just slide in my DMs, and not in a creepy way, which is really cool. Because if they did that, I'd really expect them to do it, because they're Marines, or military for that matter. But, you know, they always ask, and they're like, hey, are you good? You know, what's good, bro? You know, you know, I think there was a time that I would have an issue. One of my best friends now, you know, his dad's Purple Heart recipient, just passed away last week from Vietnam. And, you know, he just passed. And, you know, I reached out to him and I said, yo, I don't know what you're going through with your father, because I still have my parents, but I know what it's like to lose somebody super close to you. I said, hey, I can't relate, but I'm here. And if you need me, I'm here. I think that's the best way any person can reach to a military guy. We have signs. We scream when we're hurting. We scream like from the top of mountaintops when we're hurting and we have pain. We show it. self-indulgence in alcohol, in drugs, in crazy behaviors. If we're doing two things like a little risque, a little too far, or I do risque crap all the time, so don't ever think like my stuff's over the top. But some veterans like go from being a hermit to going skydiving. I'm sorry, that's screaming something's going on. And I'm not saying it's suicide. I'm not saying anything like that. But that's like, you want to sit them down. You want to be like, hey, bro, let's talk. Worst case, find another veteran that in your neighborhood or that you're friends with. Any veteran will talk to another veteran. And sometimes some veterans will talk to anybody. But find that veteran that you can be like, hey, come over here. Can you please talk to this? This dude's my friend. Facebook's a heck of a good connector nowadays. Boom, boom, boop, place two people together. I got people that reach out to me probably weekly now. It used to be almost every day. Luckily, it hasn't been, so it's a good sign. But they're like, hey, my friend so-and-so or my ex-husband or my boyfriend or, is having these issues. I don't know what's going on. Here's his phone number. I've reached out to dudes before and they're like weirded out for a hot second, but they get over it, that's the best part to do.
I get what you're saying because, again, relating it to my experience with the cancer and everything, I had people reach out to me with their loved ones were dealing with cancer. And they said to me, do you mind if I have them call you if they need someone to talk to? I'm like, absolutely. I don't know them at all, but I would be happy to talk to them about what they're going through, empathy and everything. So I get what you're saying there. Brought up one thing. I just had a question for you in regards to that. Oh, yeah, actually, if you don't want to answer this is fine, but I do want to ask a question. In a lot of the interviews that I watched of you and everything, I think it was the Wounded Warrior Project one, you basically you were like living at the beach or something in your car at one point in time.
Yeah,
and
man. Yeah.
And that's kind of where you were hitting your rock bottom, right? My question to you is, you just mentioned before that your parents are still alive. Did they have any idea of what you were going through at the time?
Nobody did. Nobody. I wouldn't tell anybody. I had a gym membership at 24 Hour Fitness so I could shower. And I know this sounds grotesque, but I would literally bring my clothes to the jacuzzi and dip them in real quick. And that was my wash machine. And it was funny. I think a few people at the gym knew what I was going through. One guy in particular, Joe Duarte, an Army Ranger, one of my lifelong best friends now. He could tell, something wasn't jiving, and used to invite me over to his house and be like, oh, I got dinner. Oh, I'm like, he's like, oh, you should stay over for lunch. And I'm like, he would never say, hey, bro, you're sleeping here. He would never like ask me, but he'd be like, hey, you got to do laundry, dude? Just hang out, eat some lunch, and let's go throw your stuff in the wash machine. I'm like, okay. So obviously I think he knew, but the way the veterans talk to one another, right? Like, we're not going to call you out for your wrongdoings or
right.
your false shorts in life. We're going to say, hey, we got this, and this. And it's like the next best thing, right? It's like, look, OxyClean, and it just cleans it, and it goes from OxyClean to that damn stick tape, but it's like that. And we try to sell that new idea to your fellow veteran. But that's the way that we are, and like my wife says, she says, one of the best reasons and the most reason that I'm absolutely head over heels in love with you is your caringness for all and your caringness for others. Even though you walk around like you want to kill the world and the world doesn't matter to you, like you see somebody literally on the side of the road and you pull over and help them change their tire. And it's like, but that's the kind of person I am. That's how I was raised. I was raised that, you give what you have until you have no more, and then you give even more. And if I'm 6 feet up and not 6 feet down, I have more than enough to give. I know there's a guy in my gym that I'm actually really good friends with that I know that nobody else knows because I can see the signs. He's living in his car. And I have him house sit, and I'm like, hey, can you watch my house? Like, he's like, oh yeah, yeah. And I was like, use my pool. Oh, here's my food. And I make him stay at my house. Great kid. He's young. He's like 22, 23, but that's the age I was doing this at. I give him all my clothes from sponsors, from, like Howitzer Clothing, sent me a bunch of stuff. This kid's got a wardrobe of so many military shirts. People probably think he served in the military, but that's just how we are. And I think that's the best way to be, is just always able to give back, man. And even though I was living in my car eating a pizza a week, like, I never lost hope or drive to always know I deserved better.
Right. Well, listen, for those of you that are listening to this interview right now, that happen to be listening to it on the radio, we are going to continue this interview on the YouTube channel, the Generation Y Conservative. So if you are interested in listening, please go over to the YouTube channel, the Generation Y Conservative. Subscribe while you're there. Hit the bell for notifications. You can watch the rest of Shane's interview there. You can also catch some of the other interviews that I did. And also go to the Facebook page, the Generation Y Conservatives, and hit like on that. And also on Twitter, it's at Gen Y Conservative without the E on the end, to follow along with me there as well. And we'll continue the interview there then. So Shane, what I want to get into here is what I think is really important, and I can see is one of your missions, is reintegration of veterans into society, into the civilian life again. And what that entails, what veterans may be returning right now, or they're struggling. It seems like the overall messaging is that they're looking for a purpose like they had while they were serving, which is, it's exactly what you were just basically alluding to right there, about if you're 6 feet above the ground instead of below it, that you're here to serve other people, that you're here to be there for people. So how is it best to push veterans to find their new purpose outside the military then?
The best thing is and I'm guilty of this, so I'm going to call every veteran out right now. Stop sulking. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop. Nobody cares. All that cares is you care about you. You are your best support group, and you are your best friend. That is something I didn't know. I had to get that drilled in my head. There's a few people that drill that in my head in different ways. Tim Kennedy, I got Dakota Meyer, I got Florian Gruberg, just Vincent Vargas. Like, it keeps going. Like, my list, these guys are all acquaintances. Mike Simpson. It just goes and goes. You're talking Rangers, you're talking snipers, you're talking Green Berets, the best of the best. And their messaging's all the same. Maybe it's a little different. Maybe it's tweaked a little different. Everybody's got their own little thing. Nick Palomino from Ranger Up, Tom Amita from Ranger Up. These guys are all inspirations, and I am proud to call these guys friends and be able to call them and be able to, reach out. But it's crazy when you're sitting there and you first get out and you don't have any direction, you don't know what to do, and these veterans, some of them, seem entitled. Hey, I served my country, give me a job. Hey, I served my country, give me free housing. No, pick up your boots, pull up your big boy pants, and make it happen for yourself. That is something I personally felt trapped to when I first got out. I was an entitled little asshole, and it led me to failure. But as soon as I stopped feeling entitled, it progressed and made me just skyrocket through the roof. And now I'm, gosh darn, 15 years into skyrocketing, man. And it's a beautiful thing. But one thing I had to do, and I fell into mixed martial arts. I'm very blessed to have fallen into mixed martial arts. I'm very blessed to have the opportunity to train with the people I train with. I didn't know anything about fighting, man. I've been in some scraps. I've been in some brawls and possibly allegedly some bar fights. But, when I fell into it, man, you need to, so it's almost like drugs, right? When you get off of drugs, you need to find something to replace that addiction. And now most people find a healthy thing to replace the addiction. Military is the same way, man. Military is an addiction. You need to find something healthy to replace it. The mixed martial arts, whether you do everything as MMA or you do boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, I highly recommend wrestling, jiu-jitsu. Why? Because it is a family, and you feel that family camaraderie into any gym instantly. Heck, in jiu-jitsu, you pick up rank just like you do in the Marine Corps, and it's like, so, or in the military for that matter. So, it's finding that healthy balance and finding what is your drive. And as I was told, I went and did a unit visit a couple weeks ago, and I walked into the unit, and the sergeant I actually met in Bahrain, overseas. I met him last November on my tour for the troops. And and I text him, and he happens to be at San Mateo, my old part of Camp Pendleton. And I rolled in, and he's texting me. He's like, "Hey, roll down to the soccer field, bro." I roll down there. There's 30 dang Marines there, and I was like, "Whoa, wasn't expecting this." And he goes, "Get over here. You're gonna listen to this guy." And I'm like, and he goes, "It's not every day you get a guy over here." And I was wearing a collared shirt. He goes, "A guy over here with a collared shirt, tattoos showing, and a mullet. But this guy is a bad mofo." And I was like, "What?" Like, whoa, don't build me up, man. But he goes, and then, I got to speak to these guys, and I had to do it on the fly. I didn't know I was supposed to speak. And then he wanted a whole speech. But what I said is, you need to know your why. That is something I live every day with. Every day I wake up, like, I don't sleep 8 hours, man. I am busy and I am productive till the minute I go to sleep. I try to get at least 4 hours of sleep. The minute I'm up, I run 3 to 5 miles every single day. I do that. Why? Because it pushes me, and it makes me realize that my brothers are pushing me, and I'm going to be in shape. And then after that, I work. I own a company. I push forward. I'm on phone calls because the East Coast is awake. I have to be on constant communications with the East Coast over here in California. So, finding your why is the most important thing you can do once you get out of the Marine Corps, or any branch of service. I keep calling it Marine Corps, but once you get out of the service, is finding your why. And the why is every guy, woman, man, and woman that served that flag that we swore to protect, from every enemy, foreign and domestic. That is our why. Our why is to make sure that flag flies above with 50 stars and 13 stripes every day. That is my why. And I will make sure that thing flies high, and my daughter is able to go to school and able to live life unadulterated, like half the left is trying to do these days. That's my why. And every veteran, please, if you need a why, I'm more than glad to help you. Reach out to me on social media, Instagram, whatever, and I love to help you find your why. There's tons of whys. I'm willing to hand them out for free.
Well, while you're talking about that, I usually ask this at the end, but if someone is looking to reach out to you, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, Instagram is the best. Instagram, my PR manager, always make sure I get all of my messages. Anything, it all comes to me. She makes sure of it. But that's WAR, WAR_Rhino, War Rhino. It's super simple. And on Facebook, it's Shane Kruchten MMA. It's super easy. And then on Twitter, it's S Kruchten MMA. It's nothing hard. I made sure it's not hard. For the simple reason that I just want to make sure that anybody can get a hold of me. So, my stuff isn't private. I don't care. I love and invite conversation. I love and invite, people reaching out for help.
Awesome. Okay. So let's get into some of the MMA stuff and kind of what it's done for you as your release, finding your why, and also just what has this led to for you, I guess you could say. I mean, it's obviously, this was kind of it was your therapy, right?
Yeah, 100%. I actually got my first fight by pure accident. I was at a bar and I was drinking, and a guy walked up to me and goes, "Hey, you look like a big dude." And I was like, "Yeah, what's about it?" Like, so stupid. Like, now that I look back, and he goes, I'll give you a $500 bar tab. You get in there and fight. I was like, let's do this. I got in, man. And I ended up taking the fight. I won. It was a 3-round, 15-minute fight. You fast forward 15 years later. Hey, what's going on, man? I'm fighting for Bellator, like one of the top leagues in the world. Like, I am blessed to be where I'm at. It hasn't been without tears. It hasn't been without bloodshed, and it hasn't been without a lot of, sacrifices, personal, emotional, friendships. I've lost a lot in my career, but it's also led me to some of the best people in my life.
One of the matches that I watched to catch up on you was you fighting a superior officer of yours. Is that correct?
Oh man, Jeremy Mahone, Madison Square Garden. Actually, he was a staff NCO with 1-5, and I was in 3-5. We served at the identical times, but we were in different battalions.
Got it. Okay.
Battalions, same regiment. And they kept saying, "Oh, latrine duty," and it was the dumbest commentary. I love it. Ray Seppel's a great man. Ray Seppel got some crap for that online. But Jeremy and I are actually really good friends to this day. We go back and forth. I've been to his gym since our fight. I've flown out to Texas and hung out with him. It's amazing, dude. It's this sport, it causes a lot of heartache, but man, I've made some of the best people. I've met more people through the sport of MMA than I ever have in my life. I travel all over the country, and I'm able to train anywhere, full invitations. When I start posting that I'm in like certain cities, people are like, oh, like, yo, come through my gym. And I'm like, yo, I came for a vacation with my wife. My wife hates when I go train on vacation. So sometimes I sneak away. I have to be like, oh, babe, you want to go get your nails done? It's cool, man. It's a good experience, but Jeremy was a good one at Madison Square Garden on New Year's Eve. Yeah, that was a great fight.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. So let's get into, cause you've been touching on politics a little bit throughout this whole thing. I got to ask you, what the hell are you thinking living out in California at this point in time? Is it like a don't give up mentality or what?
Bro, I am a diehard asshole. No, it's dude, good question. So my wife, my amazing wife, her entire family, everybody is in Arizona. And my family is slim and few, but they're all in Wisconsin and Florida. Holy crap, what am I doing here? I'm only here for my daughter. If my daughter's mother did not live in California, I would sell my house tomorrow for as cheap as possible just to get the hell out of here. I have a 10-year plan. My daughter turns 7 on Monday. I got a 10-year plan. I want to get out of here, man, as soon as possible. Geez, man, I can't wait.
You may have just listed the only reason to stay in California that I would find excusable.
There is nothing else. I'm going broke. No.
Are you down in what is it, San Diego?
Yeah, I'm in East County, area? San Diego. Luckily, I'm in a red district that's held by a Republican. I think that's my only savior. The mayor in my city is Republican, and I think that's the only reason why I live here.
Interesting. So my younger sister lives near Los Angeles, and I see craziness. I know people that live out in California. I have people that travel out there to visit family that take pictures in like the transportation areas. I don't know if it's subways out there or metro or whatever, of people just shooting up right there on the sidewalks, defecating all over the place. I mean, is it as crazy in San Diego area as it is in like the San Francisco, Los Angeles area?
Districts. There's certain areas, man. We had one of the largest hepatitis outbreaks in the state here in San Diego.
Oh my gosh.
Right, I'm talking blocks from the busy downtown. blocks away. So it was absolutely insane that, that was happening. It was one of the largest hepatitis outbreaks. They actually have, my friend owns a company, and all the homeless are getting pushed out of downtown, and they keep pushing them out of, so they're shutting down like these homeless shelters, and they're pushing them all out into people's homes. And if you live on the outskirts of downtown, there's the 5 freeway that literally cuts off an area called Golden Hill, which was all the old Victorian style homes that always overlooked downtown. Well, they started shutting down all these homeless shelters, pushing them all into Golden Hill, and it just destroyed the area. Home values have plummeted. You see shanty towns everywhere. You can drive down and you're like, wow, another one. It's literally just about as bad as LA. I made a post. It was really screwed up. I said, I saw 3 homeless men giving each other flu shots today on the side of the highway. Man, they really care about each other.
Oh my gosh.
They're sharing the needle, but hey, at least they got the flu shot. It's just so dumb, man. And it's sad to see. But also these people don't care, man. They have opportunities. Last year, my company was in charge of, we were paid by the city of San Diego to erect temporary homeless shelters, for the cold weather and everything. And so we did. We had a lot of rains, and we did, and they stayed empty. We got paid to come back and take them down. These people don't want help. They go out and they can hustle. These guys, if average, make $3 to $5 every stoplight. Times that by every 3 minutes, that stoplight changes, right? So you have a new cycle. They can make high 6 figures tax-free every year.
Wow.
I've seen,
and they're still living on this because it goes to drugs and stuff, right?
Boom, 100%. Still living on the street. And by the way, they're collecting Social Security. Most of them are collecting Social Security, and most of them get government subsidies, whether it be Section 8 housing, whether it be a whole bunch of stuff. And they continually do this, and it just blows my mind, and it absolutely baffles me. I've seen the same homeless man, same exact guy with the same exact sign sitting on the same exact corner for the last 10 years. And it says, my mom's sick, need help. This guy sits on the same corner 10 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. This guy racks money. And his sick mom comes out every now and then. They're about 500 pounds a piece. Yeah, man, you can't tell me you're 500 pounds and you're hungry. Doesn't work.
So people like me, we sit out here on the East Coast, and I look at Maxine Waters is California too, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So you got Maxine Waters, you have Nancy Pelosi, and I look at these people in Congress, and I see them. I'm just interested in your opinion on this, because this is what really chaps my rear end on it. You see them advocating for sanctuary cities and just opening the borders and letting everyone flow in so they could take care of them. And they promise to take care of these people. And yet the homeless in America, American citizens, are beat to hell out on our own streets. But we're supposed to be protecting the immigrants coming in now. But at the same time, then I'm a little conflicted, because I'm listening to what you're saying about these people making 6 figures and not having homes and spending it all on drugs. And the fact that your company went in to set up these shelters that they weren't even used, and then you were paid to take them down. What is the solution out there then? What do we do with these people? How is there a way to actually help these people?
I think Hawaii had it perfect. Hawaii gave these guys free plane tickets, go home. Literally send them away. It's too lax, man. Let's be real. Dictator Newsom, Nancy Pelosi's nephew, mind you, has driven this state into absolute poverty. He gave illegal immigrants stimulus checks because he said it wasn't fair that U.S. citizens got stimulus checks. So Governor Newsom ended up taking money from the state's fund and giving it to illegal immigrants, giving them each a stimulus check of $1,250, the same amount that we got as U.S. citizens for actually paying taxes. Then add this. So then, President Trump came in and said, hey, guys, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to say, here's some extra money for unemployment, but you need to pick up the last kicker. This guy Governor Newsom signs a bill, 540 million or some crap, $500 million for his rail system that hasn't grown a mile in over a decade. And he keeps throwing money at this thing. Then he tells the federal government, oh, sorry, we don't have any money for unemployment, but then accuses President Trump and the rest of the Republicans for not helping us. Wait, timeout. What? Like, it's baffling. He shuts down the restaurants. He's killing small business here. Small business still to this day, and we're talking, it's the 30th of September today. Small business is collapsing, man. California is absolutely in shambles. There's businesses closing every day. The malls are barren. The streets you just see going out of business. Sales or shops are just completely closing. But this guy's winery is wide open.
Oh, Newsom has a winery?
100%. Yep. Yeah, he has a winery that is wide open. When he closed all the businesses, so Newsom came out and said all restaurants have to close and bars. Oh, by the way, and now if your bar you can't be a bar, so technically a winery is a bar. And he goes, unless you serve food and you have to have a food menu. So this dork was serving 3 potato chips with wine and letting these guys get away with it, when all the other wineries around him absolutely were collapsing. He was staying open, was fully booked during July 4th weekend when he wasn't allowing anyone else to be open. Absolute sham.
It's not unfamiliar either, unfortunately. Out here in Pennsylvania, we have Dictator Wolf, and we are still dealing with a lot of the shenanigans that he's going through. And right at the beginning, when he shut down the businesses out here, magically his family cabinetry business was allowed to stay open while everyone else was shut down. What is it? Rules for thee, but not for me, seems to be what these types of guys live by.
Well, luckily, so my business, so my second venture is a jiu-jitsu gym. You can pull me up. I'm on the internet. I went famous on May the 1st. I opened my jiu-jitsu gym. We stayed open the whole time. I made the front page of the LA Times, the San Diego Union Tribune, everything. I opened on May 1st and I said, no masks. You're not allowed to wear a mask in here. And we're working out. And by the way, there's no social distancing. We're going back to regular class. And the guys, the other instructors, the other owners all said, good to go. We're good to go. Let's go. So we went, news showed up and news was like, oh my gosh, you guys are actually open. Absolutely. We had 23 people in class on the very first day. We still have been open to this day. We haven't closed down. We're one of the only jiu-jitsu academies in this area that's actually running at full capacity. My friend's jiu-jitsu academy is actually running at full capacity as well. But he didn't start opening. He was kind of more quiet. I was kind of on Front Street, and that's the way I live life. And I posted something on Instagram today. I said, if you don't like me, you can go. So I opened up and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I got some negative, and I don't care. Haters fuel me, man.
Yeah, it's here's a comparison I've been throwing around, which just boggles my mind. I'm sure with you acting that kind of way, we've kind of taken that position as a family as well. We don't put on masks unless the business says, hey, I need you to wear a mask. Because in my feelings is if you have a sign that says no shirts, no shoes, no service, like it's on the business to say if you have to. I just don't want the government forcing me to do it. But the fact is, how many times have you run into people, especially online and everything, that say, you just don't care about people's lives and you're putting other people's lives in danger and you should be staying home as much as possible. Yet they're ordering from Amazon, expecting the Amazon workers to be in the warehouse packing things and then also delivering it to their house and going to everybody's house as well. They're the biggest hypocrites I've ever seen in my life.
Oh man, we can go deeper down that rabbit hole. Home Depot, Walgreens, Walmart, packed like a sardine can every day with all these people wanting to do these home improvements, COVID projects. Okay, I'm sorry. I took pictures and then they're wearing their mask and they're like, but you're standing right on top of somebody. Then the clerk is handling every single item, putting it down. They're going to the grocery store thinking they're safe. Okay, that clerk, you don't know where that clerk's been. Just touched everything with the same gloves they just touched the other 50 clients. Get the hell out of here. I'm sorry. So It's not even a pandemic. It's not even close to pandemic numbers. Okay, now they're saying 1 million
No,
people worldwide
I agree.
just passed. Okay, unfortunately, one death is too many. I get it. 1 million people. Okay, let's talk about AIDS. 44 million people dead. Now that is a pandemic. That is something we need to take notice in.
Well, actually, I think one of the things that one of the things that you, I would think that you would be on board with too, is the numbers that aren't really being talked about. And I think Trump actually brought this up in the debate last night: depression, suicide, abuse at home, both from spouses and to children, drug overdoses and everything. I have a strong feeling when we actually come full swing back into the economy and everything, when people actually get back into businesses, they're going to look around and go, where's Sally at? You know, I have a feeling there's probably a lot of dead people out there that no one even knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that how many people are relying on other people being at home and no one's checking in with them and everything. And they may have been in an abusive situation that you put those two clashers together at that point. Sally's not around anymore. I wonder why, you know?
Well,
it's just crazy. Those numbers are crazy.
Yeah, man, I fell into this. I got a little lull during all this crap, right? But luckily, again, found my why, shot towards it. But if you look at this, so I teach a lot of law enforcement officers, a lot from different agencies all over the country. And, I do it virtually and I do it face to face. One officer has told me in the city of San Diego, in a certain city within San Diego, there's different cities, but he's in a department, I'm not going to say his name, said domestic violence has shot 370% since the beginning of the pandemic. 370%. Child abuse has shot over 900%. Child abuse.
Yeah.
Like, you got a drunk alcoholic jerk that is beating a child because of school homework on Zoom. Really?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm sorry. I cried inside and it's hard to make me cry when I had to put my daughter behind a damn computer at my house in her room and say, this is how you're going to do first grade. My daughter was like, what do you mean, Daddy? She's 6, man. That's sick. That is sick for anybody to think that's okay. I'm sorry. But when 99.6% of the people that are passing have two or more underlying health conditions, I'm sorry. We're only at we're at what, 200,000 people that have passed in America,
right?
Million people worldwide. Yeah, that's sad. Okay, so we're at 0.01 of the world population. All right, we're 1 million, 4 point something billion. I mean, let's talk reality here. People need to, stop being ostriches. And I post on a lot of my stuff, the sheeple, and there's a lot of sheeple in this world, and it's really sad to see. The world is literally like just going, oh, okay, you told me to go drink the Kool-Aid. Let me go drink the Kool-Aid. No, it ain't happening.
It's crazy.
And, luckily the silent majority, man, is taking over, and the silent majority has come out during this. I think the pandemic did one really good thing, and I'm going to caveat this to politics real quick. But I think, I think that during this pandemic, it flushed a lot of people out that, used to be the quiet little silent majority. And, they would vote, right? They'd really support Trump or they'd really support the right, and they wouldn't say or do anything. And all of a sudden they started liking a couple posts, and then they saw the people that are loud, myself included, Tito Ortiz, you got Dana White, you got these big influencers that are going, hey, look, we've always been like this. We've always supported this man. We've always supported. And then they're like, yeah, well, I'm on board with you. I'm like, yo, what? It's you should see. So I made a post on Facebook, and I was just in Michigan, and I said, by the looks of it, Biden's coming in third place during the election, right behind, by judging by yard signs alone, behind Trump and Firewood for Sale. And I didn't even know Firewood for Sale was running for president, but apparently Firewood for Sale is in a strong second place. And that's real talk. Like,
oh yeah,
go down the street, man.
These people voting for Biden, I mean, it's just unbelievable that not only his family would put him in this position, but that the DNC would actually allow him to go through when there's, listen, my grandmother suffered from dementia. I know what dementia looks like. This guy is in the throes of it. I mean, by the end of that debate last night, he was leaning on the front of that podium trying to stay up. He asked for a break every 30 minutes, you know? But back to actually your point talking about the police officer that you talked to, I'm going to throw down with that. So I have a bunch of clients that are police officers, and I was actually talking to one very small town that I visit for this. And he said, I asked him in the throes of the pandemic at the beginning, how is this affecting you and your job? And he said, Chris, every other year, we're dealing with maybe 5 suicides in this small town a year. I'm dealing with that on a weekly basis right now. And that's, he said, it's insane to show up to that kind of stuff. But I think you're right. You were talking about this kind of awakening and everything. And it's one of those small hopes that I'm holding on to right now for this election, is that, you know, there's a lot of business owners. I don't know how the hell you could be a business owner and be a Democrat and see all the taxes and regulations you have to go through, but they're out there, right? But during the shutdown right now, the last time I checked on the statistics, 55% of the small businesses that closed are closing their doors for good. Yep. At this point in this country. And these are the same people on the left that were always saying, you know, bastardizing, villainizing corporations like Walmart and Amazon for kicking out small businesses out of town. And now they're sitting there and telling you, you have to stay home and not open your business and allow it to shut down for good. But Walmart and Amazon is where they go to get all their stuff, because they're the ones that are open where you have to go to. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, so I think a lot of Democrats that are business owners, I think I'm depending on them to wake up and go, you know, Governor Wolf, Governor Newsom, Governor Cuomo. I hear what they're not showing on the news right now is New York City is a freaking war zone, and they're not showing it.
I don't know.
It's insane up there.
So Manhattan.
I'm right across. I work right across the river, and all my clients that work in the city say if they need to go in there for work, they go in and get their stuff and get the hell out.
Yeah, you don't want to go there, man. So I went down Manhattan, you know, right in the heart, and it's scary. Yeah, it's dead, and all that's out is thieves and homeless people, and it's sad, man. You know, I got to go to Vegas, pool party. Yeah, that means you have to pay thousands of dollars for a cabana, and you're not allowed to leave your cabana. Like what? You know, it was kind of cool to have somewhat normal, right? But you know, people like Vegas, the mayor's there, and the governors are trying so hard to give people, you know, a taste of real life back. But you have these, you know, Como and everybody else really going out and just destroying lives, and it is so sad, man. And it kills me. In Washington D.C., crap, we were in D.C. and you know, last weekend, oh geez, man, I couldn't even find a bar to be open. It was like, what?
Yep. So kind of going off of that, not only do you have what I hope to be small business owners waking up and voting for Trump saying this is ridiculous, we need to open the economy back up. We can do this under standards from the CDC if required, just to get our business flowing again. We can require certain things to be done in certain ways. Just let us back open again, right? Then you also have what I think you might want to chime in on too, which is these riots and Black Lives Matter and Antifa things happening all over the country, with minority neighborhoods being burned to the ground, mostly by white liberals, I would say, from Antifa and everything. And I think a lot of people, well, first of all, I think that took the Second Amendment debate off the table for the next decade. Because the question was always, what do you need an AR-15 for? Now the country knows what you need an AR-15 for. Because when the police are being defunded and abolished and being called for that, there's no one there to protect you except for you at that point. So that's exactly why we need an AR-15 in our hands. And that's just an appetizer to what I think should be in your arsenal. But at the same time, so people are waking up to the fact that these cities are burning to the ground. And it wasn't until the polls showed the Democrats were losing on that argument that they actually came out and finally said within the last 2 weeks, Biden, listen, last night was the first time I heard Biden denounce violence. It was Nancy Pelosi, I think, within the last 2 weeks, but that was all because of the polls. So I think there's all this awakening of what's going on in this country with the virus, the pandemic, the violence going on, the fact that most of this stuff, and it's not all, but most of this stuff is happening in 99% democratically run cities.
Well,
and
yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm depending on these people. Yeah, I know. I just think I'm praying that these people are going to be the red. I'm hoping that 2020 is a red-pilled moment where they wake up and go, this is ridiculous. And what they're saying about all this stuff, I'm done with it, you know?
Well, okay. A lot of stuff to jabber around here. But let's look at it this way. Every city that is burning to the ground, literally, is Democrat ran, Democrat power, and Democrat owned for the most part, right? Absolutely ridiculous. Last night at the debate, I don't know about you, but President Trump has already stated, has already signed executive orders, has already put down that Antifa is a terrorist organization, as is the KKK.
Along with the KKK.
As is white supremacy groups, are all terrorist organizations. President Biden, because everybody likes to, throw that out there, likes to say that they're a thing and a thought. I'm sorry. I don't know any terrorist organizations. That's like saying Saddam Hussein was just a thought or just a thing. No.
An idea. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, an idea.
An idea. My bad. I'm so fired up over this topic. Now,
I know.
let's look and dissect this a little bit more into your thought. And your thought was, why do we need the Second Amendment? Second Amendment is easy to show you. Look in Texas. When two terrorists a couple of years ago tried to run up on the recruiting office. They were shot. Look in Arizona. Yep. They try to overrun, all these little white liberals like to overrun these cars and start to cause property damage and threaten the safety of an individual. And mind you, fire first at somebody and then wonder why old boy catches 3 rounds. Just saying.
I know.
Let's look at Wisconsin.
It's amazing.
I mean, look at Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
When you go to Wisconsin, that's my home state. And I am dead proud of Wisconsin. Wisconsin has militia laws that have been there since the 1800s that say a 16-year-old is allowed to pick up arms and protect local businesses if it's being overran. What happened? All these little assholes decided it was fun and games, and they actually fired at him first and then wonder why asshole took second place at the quick draw competition in Wisconsin. Then, this kid literally, I want to know where he's jailed and I want to get his address. I want to send this man some money on his books. I mean, I'm sorry, my personal views, this man is a martyr for why the Second Amendment's needed. This kid was trying to help somebody at their gas station, save their gas station from violent protesters running a burning trash can into said individual's thing, was shot at, returned fire, and killed somebody. A child molester, mind you. Then, second guy hits him. He's trying to run to cops and turn himself in and say, look, I shot somebody. He's running down the road, gets violently attacked with a deadly weapon. Gets attacked with a skateboard, hit in the back of the head. He falls. Said individual jumps on him, tries to grab the weapon, and wonders why he catches 2 rounds, walks 4 feet, and collapses. Violent felon with warrants out for him. Third individual comes up with a pistol in his hand, tries to grab his weapon, and then catches around, and then goes, oh, and he's wearing that paramedic hat. Best comedy ever. He's wearing a paramedic hat.
Is that the guy that got his hand blown or arm?
Yeah, his bicep.
Was it his arm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's wearing a paramedic hat.
That was a hell of a wound.
Yeah. Paramedic hat, gets his arm blown off while holding a weapon, says he meant no harm. You know he's a violent felon with open warrants?
And isn't that the case with all these individuals? Like, listen, I think the thing that drives me nuts about the whole George Floyd thing is I don't think anyone in America was going to the defense of the guy that was putting his knee on his neck for over 8 minutes. You know what I mean?
I didn't.
No one said that was the right thing to do. And I don't believe in bringing up a person's past if it doesn't deal directly with that day. But all these people that these people are holding up as martyrs are criminals. I mean, by and large, I don't know of any that they're holding up right now that don't have an extensive criminal past.
Is Breonna Taylor is the only one that didn't have an extensive criminal history. But the people she associated herself with, i.e., the boyfriend, the violent drug dealer who shot a cop before a return fire and ended up accidentally killing Breonna Taylor, which is very sad. But you know what? She put herself in that situation and dumbass shot a cop. Like, and all these people are burning down a city because he shot a police officer and wonders why. Oh, why'd they shoot 4 rounds at me? Well, let me add this up for you, bud. So, I mean, that's the only one that didn't have a criminal history.
Yeah, it's our mutual acquaintance that we know. I had this discussion with him, and I said, and the details were obviously foggy from everything that was going around the media, well, all the different sources were saying and everything. And I was trying to lay out the situation on how she got shot. And yeah, it's a messed up situation, but she wouldn't have been in that situation if she didn't surround herself with criminals the way she did. Especially that closely. Like, hey, listen, we all have friends probably that are, either past criminals or current criminals and everything. But listen, you're not sleeping in the same apartment with them, or you're gonna expect something to go down. I'm sorry.
I was raised never to hang out with or do anything I wasn't willing to do the time for of the person or what I was doing.
That's a good rule. Okay, so one of the topics brought up last night, actually, let me backtrack. You had mentioned that you're friends with Tim Kennedy. Tim Kennedy was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast. I was listening to it, and he brought up a really interesting point, if we could bring this back to the military, which will also tie into the debates that we watched last night, which is he had said that under the Obama administration, now you weren't serving under the Obama administration, but you certainly know people that were, that the funding for our military was at about a third of what it is now under Trump. And, you look at the statistics, especially the accomplishment list of Trump, and being able to give the military what they need and releasing them to do what they're there to do, and just demolishing ISIS so quickly. I mean, funding has a lot to do with what you guys are doing when you're actually in action, right?
Well, let's look at it this way. Funding, right, for war times. Under the Obama-Biden administration, there was 1,758 deaths and over 18,000 injuries serving overseas, right?
Yeah.
Trump comes in, and this is ROEs, funding, a whole bunch of stuff, rules of engagement. There's a whole bunch of stuff, all accumulates into why, right? Then Trump comes in, goes back to, kind of Bush administration, ROEs, goes in and ups the funding. Up until I think last week, I don't know that I gotta look up the updated statistics. 63 deaths in the first 4 years of his presidency, and only 452 injuries.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't even know those numbers.
Yeah. Fraction. You know that I told you that the suicides jumped more. The suicides jumped by 6 under the Biden-Obama era.
Yeah, revisit those numbers with me so that they can hear it as well, though.
Yeah, no worries. So basically, Biden-Obama, under their administration, and they're cutting of funding to the DOD, to the VA, of faith-based treatment, the suicide rate went from 16 a day under Bush, Clinton, and Bush Sr., 16 a day of veterans, which is way too many, all the way up to 22 in under 3 years. First term. You didn't hear about that one on the news. They don't say that. It's Obama signed executive orders basically removing faith-based treatment in the VA and the DOD. He basically pushed and implemented ways for them to use pharmaceutical companies as cures versus faith-based stuff. what happens when you pump somebody full of drugs? They get more depressed and they try to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what happened.
So you brought up the term rules of engagement. That's actually something that I wanted to go over with you. Why don't you briefly describe what rules of engagement actually applies to in the military? And if you want to talk about it, what it was under the Obama administration and what was causing so many issues, and now what the Trump administration did to reverse that, to give our soldiers more leniency to actually get the job done.
Yeah. So basically, rules of engagement is how can I engage the enemy? How can I engage you? Right. So when I served under the Bush administration, there was a rule that was going around. It's not well said, but if it had hair, it died. If it showed a threat, kill it. Easy, right? My friends who served on the Biden-Obama era, very well knowing that the handcuffs and the mothers of America basically put handcuffs on these guys and made them not be able to fire at anybody. Literally, these are stories that I've heard from frontline soldiers and Marines, is you had to have a gun pointed at you and fire at you before you could fire back. And now you could carry a gun. I couldn't do anything to you. You could carry a gun and point it at me. I couldn't do anything to you. Because if I did, I was charged with murder. I was court-martialed. Now these are stories. I'd have to dig into it. This is all hearsay, but this is hearsay from very valid sources, and is really scary. When Trump came in, Trump took those handcuffs off and said, "Hey, look, if it shows a threat, take it out." It's easy, right? So literally, President Trump's done more in the 4 years for our military and veterans than any other president in my history since I've been alive. And I've been alive for a couple good presidents, and if you look, all the presidents, like Trump is saying, "Hey, look, I support veterans. Hey, look, I've done XYZ. I've upped the VA funding, highest VA funding ever under any presidential, cabinet." Cool. He's done a lot, just phenomenal things for the veterans. But Biden is like, you look at commercials and this guy is like solely putting 90% of his eggs in one basket, the veteran community. I'm sorry, that's not where you put your eggs in the basket. There's only 20 million veterans in the United States of America. 20 million. 20 million ain't going to win you an election, bud. Not only that, but 90% of us, we don't like you. We love our guns and we like our freedom too much to like you and socialism. We do not like socialism. You might as well go hang out with Bernie and OAC and just go on whatever. Last night it was absolutely perfect. During the debate, if you noticed, when asked about the coronavirus and asked if you believe scientists, Vice President Biden said, "Oh, absolutely. We need to believe the scientists. Absolutely."
Yeah.
Moderator goes,
I remember this, yeah.
But your vice president nominee or your hopeful says she doesn't support the scientists. Well, I don't know about that. I'm sorry. If you ask Trump or you ask Pence anything, they're on. Boom. They're, bop, bop, bop. Same kill. I'm sorry. If you run, you should know. And I felt really bad. I actually wrote somebody and I said, I personally think there should be a nursing home caretaker waiting for Biden to take him off on the side of the stage. I felt bad for the man.
So do I. Yeah. All the time.
Hard-ass conservative. I'm being for real. I personally felt bad for the man.
Yeah. I think he obviously did work very hard and trained for this debate, because if you notice Biden on the campaign stops when he's going around, when anyone challenges him, it's, "Oh, you want to do push-ups against me? Do you want to take this outside?" And he instantly flies off the handle and everything. But last night, what I saw with him was when he hit that point, he closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and just let it out. Oh, he did a good job with that. He kept himself under control. But if Trump had just, I was very disappointed in Trump. I got to be honest with you. The not following along with the rules of cutting off, because I'll be honest with you, if he had just let Biden talk for the 2 minutes he was given, after 30 seconds, he would have gone off the rails and not known what he actually started talking about.
I think that's the only
but he
bad
kept on
grade I
giving
gave
him the
Trump
chance to jump back on.
to be
I
honest.
know. Yeah. And
Like,
it's like,
I was hoping
at this
he would
point,
just have this like complete shit show, like, they're kittens moment, like I was hoping.
Oh, I know. He did. Did you?
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't believe
did.
no one's talked about this today. Because he was talking about how Asians and Hispanics, and now they're driving cars. And I'm like,
yeah.
Like, you didn't hear that? Like,
I was like, oh, shit. Hey,
I looked at the room because we had a big viewing party. I looked at the room. I was like, did you guys know that Hispanics are driving now? This is crazy.
It's almost like, hey, Biden, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Women can vote. Yeah. By the way, for all of your conservative followers, this year is very monumental in the Republican Party. I don't know if anybody knows this. This year is 100 years since women are able to vote, thanks to the Republican Party. It was shot down by every single Democrat, and it was voted on 3 different times. It was a Republican Senate and House that was able to get it passed 100 years ago.
Was it Woodrow Wilson president at the time?
Oh, geez. Golly.
I don't know. If I'm getting my dates right on when he would have been in office. Right,
I think so.
Yeah, he was terrible. He was one of the worst presidents. One of the worst presidents.
There's actually a president that only served 33 days. So let's talk about real things.
Who was that?
Golly, somebody posted they were making.
Was it John Taylor? No, not Taylor.
Yeah, they were trying to troll me, and it didn't work well. Somebody posted.
That's okay. So
keep talking.
While you're talking about that, we'll keep up. Yeah, we'll go into a little bit more on the debates because I'm interested in your thoughts there. The one thing that I had mentioned on the pre-debate show that I did last night is that Trump. Actually, no. Let me backtrack here because I think the result of what happened last night, leading up to the debate, Nancy Pelosi has been saying that it's beneath the dignity of the Democratic Party to even entertain going into a debate with Trump, and obviously, those of us that are paying attention and know that this guy is suffering clearly from dementia know that she was just trying to save him. The hassle of having to mentally compete against the president on stage without a teleprompter and everything. But now I really feel like this I was not happy with what happened last night with Trump. I really think that it's given the Biden campaign the opportunity to come out and say, no, it's, we gave him one shot. It's below our dignity now to continue this and do 2 more debates and everything. I think that he is going to back out. I think that the smartest move right now would be for the Trump campaign to immediately, they should have done it today, come out and say, listen, the media, we have a string of media clips right now showing that even in the media, they're saying that Biden shouldn't continue to do the other 2 debates. Nancy Pelosi saying it, the Biden campaign saying it. I am coming out right now publicly and saying that whether Biden is there or not, I will be there at the debates, right? And it's a master plan. And here's why. It opens the door that if the media that is putting it on NBC, and I think it's C-SPAN is the next one, if they back out because Biden backs out, the Trump campaign can come after them and say, listen, hey, even if Biden doesn't show up, you have an hour and a half to put the president's feet to the fire and ask him any questions that you want. And you're backing out on that opportunity in front of the country. Now the media looks bad and the Biden campaign looks bad, right? 100%. And I think the next step that he should do is immediately call Joe Rogan and schedule a time to be there for that debate as well, and show up no matter what for that one too.
Just show up and do your thing. I everything you said is my thoughts tenfold.
Yeah, I hope that they do come out and start thinking about this. So did you find your answer there?
I didn't. I was trying. There was some president that did it. Yeah, it was way back in the day.
That's okay. So prior to this debate last night, what did you think Trump needed to do to come out and address in this debate to really win people over. That I don't really think there's many people that are undecided, to be honest with you at this point. But if he were to play to those people, what did you want him to focus on last night?
I think he just needs to prove and show that, this guy, that he is a, sorry, I'm just walking to another room. I got dinner.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think he did well and painted himself in a perfect way. Unfortunately, I think, let me turn on the light. Unfortunately, I think that, I think President Trump needed to hit a little more on actual facts. And it's not trying to, be mean to President Trump, but unfortunately, I think President Trump, he worked too much off of the Hillary Clinton attacks that worked, perfect, right? Unfortunately, he kind of went in and tried to attack. And I liked it, but I think it might have scared some of the left that could have been flipped. Yeah. I think that was a fearful thing for some people, not all, but some might have gotten scared from that, and that's scary to think that somebody can get scared from that. But I think overall he did well. People saw that we have a president that won't stand for no shit, and just did exactly what's on his mind and talked his mind, and I fully support that. Everybody's getting a tour of my house too.
Yeah, seriously. Well, so to go along with your point there, I think one of the things that was upsetting to me in regards to this is that if the left is pushing this narrative that he's a bully, he kind of played into it last night.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he showed him,
the moderator.
Look, I can, and that was the only thing, is cutting him off every other second was like, stop, please stop. I was like, it's just almost, It was almost like, nobody needs that. It was funny a few times, but a few times you're like, oh, bro, stop,
Yep. The other thing I would say too in regards to that was the fact that I just had it too. The accomplishments. You were talking about accomplishments. Yep. Listen, I'll be honest with you. So when he was running in 2016, I thought he was going to be he was a Democrat in disguise, because he hung out with all the elite Democrats. You know what I mean? And the only reason why I voted for him was because of Scalia dying. Oh. And I have since become a Trump fan. And when you look at the list of achievements that this guy has done in the first term that he served, that the people on the left don't get any idea of, because of the way that the media portrays it. It's like you said, if he could just focus on those achievements, there's not many things in those achievements that the left disagree with. Yeah,
you can't. Good luck. Literally, you can't. You're not going to win, and you're going to lose every argument.
Yep. It looks like. Are you getting ready to get going? Do you need to get going?
I have a. I would love to keep talking, and I would love to come back. Unfortunately, I've expired my time.
Okay. How about I ask you one more question and I'll let you go. Okay.
Yep.
If you said that you ran for office before,
yep.
Let's say you get into your dream position as a politician, right? What should a politician like yourself be focusing on to help veterans at this point? What is it that the government needs to do to step up?
Draining the swamp at the VA, 100%. I believe I am a firm believer the VA needs to be defunded. I think the VA is three different categories. There's a research, an administrative, and a healthcare. I think the administrative and the healthcare need to be 100% defunded and privatized immediately. It would save the VA over $2 billion a year privatizing healthcare. I think that the research brand of the VA should stay wide open. The research that the VA does every year has absolutely exponentially helped America with vaccines, with cures, with a bunch of good things. So keep that going. Defund the administrative side, which is absolutely worthless. There's dozens of staff members for every one veteran, and they don't do crap. We still wait for months. Healthcare is absolute junk. There's no reason why my spouse should get better healthcare through the VA program that I served this country for. She gets better healthcare than I do. That's an absolute sham and an absolute sad thing.
Absolutely. Well, Shane, listen, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, and trust me, if you have my number now and everything, if you ever want to come back on, just talk about politics, if you want to do
I'd love to.
Any other topic, you are more than welcome to. Just reach out to me and let me know when you want to come back on. I'd be happy to have you. Thank you for joining me tonight. And thank you for your service as well, and for all that you do for the veteran community. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, I will be reaching back out to you. We got a good strong last 35-day push, and I'll be back on hopefully before that.
All right, sounds good. Well, I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Thank you again to Shane for joining us. Listen, check him out on YouTube. Go follow him on social media as well. And while you're at it, if you could go to the Generation Y Conservative on YouTube and hit subscribe there, and the bell notification for notification of when we release new videos. It's all interview formats now. We're not doing the daily topics like we used to. Also find me on Facebook, the Generation Y Conservative, and on Twitter at Gen Y Conservative without the E on the end. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Have a great night, and God bless America.